Y'all, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at the Jazwares Luxray figure from like 2 years ago, but I just wanted to talk about him. Luxray first appeared in the Gen 4 Pokemon games Diamond and Pearl. They're an electric type Pokemon, and their evolution line is Shinx, Luxio to Luxray. Its eyes can see through anything, which is probably a reference to the mythological Lynx's ability to do the same thing, but you never know. And speaking of seeing through things, this figure comes in the standard clear Pokemon packaging, but we're not here to talk about the box. Let's go ahead and get this figure free from its plastic prison and see what we think about Luxray. All right, so fresh out the box, this figure looks really cool. I mean, I think that it looks pretty on point with how the character model is in the game as well. I'm a big fan of the Shinx, Luxio, Luxray line of Pokemon, and so this is definitely scratching that itch for me. However, it is a little small in my opinion. Like, I'd kind of like for my Luxray to be a little bit bigger, but Pokemon scales are all over the place oftentimes, depending on the game and whatnot. And so, yeah, I can kind of forgive it a little bit here and there. And this one I can give a little bit of a pass to. But speaking of passes, as I've mentioned in some of my other Pokemon reviews, with a lot of the mainline Jazwares Pokemon figures, they have a sort of gray area where they're not quite a McDonald's toy, but they're also not quite an adult collectible. And there's like a wide range of what they could be in the middle. But that's where a lot of the bigger mainline non-Pokemon Select figures reside, is in that area. And this one is right in there. Now, the thing that sets these apart from the smaller line is that they have action features. And I am not a big fan of action features in general whatsoever. The way that you get the action feature to work on this figure of Luxray is that you push its legs down and forward, and that's when you notice that they're all kind of connected. And then you just slightly press its tail as best you can to make them kind of bounce back into place, thus like launching the figure a little bit. It's kind of clunky, and so I'm not really a fan of that at all. But as far as this figure goes, as far as it being a Pokemon figure representing a character in the game, I think it does a great job. I think it's really cool. It looks good. The sculpt is great, and they got all the details to match the in-game model. In fact, there's some little divots in the mane of this figure that kind of like resemble hair or like something that sets it apart and gives it a little bit more. And then it's got the yellow stripes on the two front legs. And yeah, and then the tail looks really good, and it's sturdy because it has to be the thing that unlatches the pin to make the figure bounce forward. And so fresh out the box, I'm pretty happy with this figure. I mean, it's scratching the itch for me. But I probably should mention that this is a male version of this character. As far as I could tell, the females have a smaller mane, whereas the males have a much larger mane. There's no really good way to measure that because I don't have a female one to measure it to. But given the size and shape of this mane, it looks like they're intending it to be a male Luxray. So yeah, there's that, if that matters to you. All right, now let's take a look at the articulation you're going to get out of Luxray. So really, there's not much. It's mostly just 360 at the neck. He can't look up or down really at all. And the arms and legs are all based around the action feature, which locks in like that. So you can get some articulation there, I guess, is what that still classifies as. However, it's hingent on whether or not this is engaged or not. And then I think you move the tail. Yeah, you move the tail just a little bit and it pops the legs out. And yeah, so you can move them, but they're not independent. They're all one mechanism. And then Yeah, so your mileage may vary with the articulation there, but nevertheless, there is a little bit of movement, especially up in the front of the arms, like the front of the arms, the front two legs. There's a slight bit of articulation or a movement, I should say, but really, it's all just in the head. Everything else is connected, and it's the action features. So, really, that's all the articulation that you're going to get out of Luxray. According to Bulbapedia, Luxray stands around 4 foot 7 inches tall and weighs around 93 pounds. This figure stands from foot to top of the mane at around 4 inches, and then from nose to tail is just a little bit over 4 inches and weighs around 3 ounces. All right, so now let's see how he measures up to some other figures you might have in your collection. Here they are with SH Figuarts Kamen Rider 01 and Jada Toys Street Fighter Sagat. Here they are with NECA's Bert and NECA's Archie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures Slash. Here they are with McFarlane's DC Multiverse Clock King and Hasbro's Marvel Legends Spider-Man. Here they are with Mattel's Masterverse Clawful and Hasbro's Fortnite Shadow Meowscles. Here they are with Figma's Marnie and Gloria. Here they are with SH Figuarts Ash and the Bandai model kit Gardevoir. Here they are with SH Figuarts Jesse and James. Here they are with the SH Figuarts D-Arts Venusaur and Blastoise. Here they are with the Pokemon Select Typhlosion and the Piggy Bank Snorlax. Here they are with an assortment of smaller Pokemon figures from Jazwares. And here they are with some of the medium scale Pokemon from Jazwares. My appreciation for the Shinx line of Pokemon probably stemmed from Pokemon Go and their appearance in Pokemon Legends Arceus. I just really dug the design, and I'm a big fan blue and yellow, so the color scheme was working for me. And then I'm also a big fan of the feline type Pokemon characters because I'm a cat daddy. And so, yeah, it just scratched a lot of itches for me, which is a weird thing to say that I find myself saying often, which I don't know why. I got to come up with a better way to say that. But it really worked for me in the games. And then I think Jazwares did a great job with this figure in this line that they have. I don't know what to call it. They probably have a name for it, but it's not where the next level up would be the epic battle figures, and then the next level would be the Pokemon Select 6-inch line. For this line of bigger Pokemon figures than your static smaller figures, I think they did a great job here, and I'm pretty happy with what we got. I mean, the sculpt looks great. It matches the in-game model, and compared to the Shinx and the Luxio, it does look bigger. I think it could be a little bit bigger, and I would have been happier because the Luxio figure is, in my opinion, appropriately sized. However, I think that the Luxray is a little small in comparison, but on its own, I think it's okay. It's passable. It could work. But when you have it next to a Luxio who is like almost just as big, I mean, it kind of doesn't work so much for me. Now, your mileage may vary there, but I would have liked to have seen it be just a little bit larger, if not have been in the epic. I don't know. I don't know that it would have fit, because when I look at the height on Bulbapedia being 4'7", this kind of makes sense. And if it could have been just a slightly bigger figure, that would have worked. But I don't know that it's big enough to go into the other bigger lines of Pokemon from Jazwares. I don't know. Nevertheless, what we have here is a pretty solid figure. I, again, hate the action feature. I think that ruins most action figures, and unfortunately, I think this one suffers from that. I think it kind of takes away from it. Now, granted, it's not the worst action feature I've ever seen, and it's done in a way that, you don't have like a mechanism that is just like protruding out of the Pokemon's body. So I do have to give it that, but I still would like to have just had this figure essentially have articulated legs. Now, granted, I mean, it's just gonna be them being able to move. Like they don't have thumbs, so they can't really do much with their their articulated limbs besides walk. And you don't need the figure to walk necessarily. But then again, I got to remind myself that this line is geared towards kids. So I don't know that kids still play with action features or action figures, but the figure still looks great. And it goes well with a lot of the other Pokemon from this line, as well as some of the SH Figuarts and Figma Pokemon characters that they have. But that being said, if you're just looking for a representation of this figure on your shelf, I mean, I think this does the job. If you're a collector of electric type characters in action figure form, then hey, this Pokemon is electric type, so it will definitely fit in there. Or if you happen to collect action figures who have a form of X-ray vision but have no way of showing you that in the figure, then you will not be disappointed with, or maybe you will, but one way or the other, I think you'll like this action figure of Luxray. All right, well, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more from me, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think of Luxray. Do you prefer your Luxrays a little bit bigger, or do you like yours around this size? Let me know in the comments. And until then, else time.